Hello and welcome. With the Ferrari F14T available again in update 11.4, I thought I'd take a look at an old endurance race involving these two cars. Now, surprisingly enough, the 412T is actually the better car to choose for this, and you'll see what I mean. Now, I said this car screams. Let's just listen for a bit. Off-track cuts are necessary for this type of racing. And this is an interesting car. It is definitely hard to handle. These cars, in my opinion, this is what real racing is actually all about. Because these cars are not easy to handle. You need some skill, you need to plan things out. And these are so different than the Formula One cars that arrived in 2019. This car goes way back. This is a screaming Indy car. I just love this car. It really rewards early braking, early steering, and then get things straight and power out. Just watch what I do at this, the Mulsanne chicane here. Watch this. Like that's aggressive. I'm inches from the wall, inches from going off track, maybe 6 inches from hitting that other car. So in the early part of this race, you're facing other 412s, but it kind of equalizes. So this guy's gonna get on the brakes. By the way, check out that hitbox. Totally different than Formula One cars. It doesn't include the wheels. Now traffic gets crazy early. Now I'm encountering the F14Ts. Now, if you're familiar with endless endurance racing, you know that you have to pass 42 cars to get to the endless point. And if you don't do that, it won't happen. I think it's actually by design. Now, you got to be careful on sharp corners. I did really good there. Well, you'll see what happens later on there. I don't do so good sometimes. So, after the perpetual point, that means after the 42nd car, you'll see that cars just keep appearing. They get closer and closer again. Like in a regular endurance race, things get farther and farther apart, and then they start to get closer and closer after the 42nd car. Now, let's see this corner here. This is another tricky corner. Oh, I did pretty good. I did pretty good that time. The sharp corners are tricky. Brake early, steer early, then gas and power out early. Whoa, was that ever close to the wall? You can see I'm really pushing it, and you've got to push it. Now, with all these cars I'm passing, we'll see how early I hit that perpetual point. Now, you'd think you could take this corner full throttle. You cannot. In this car, it won't go sliding off track. It'll stay gripping, but you just won't be able to turn it. You can't turn it heading into corners at those speeds. Unlike the McLaren MP4X that you could. Very different car, although it's kind of like these cars as far as the handling. Let's shoot that chicane. I'm going to go full throttle through it this time. Little bit of lifting to regain control, as you might see. Tilty controls, I would argue, are utterly necessary for this car because you need the ability to pull out of skids. Like when this thing starts sliding, like watch this, watch how much I'm feathering. Well, that time I actually did a super good job staying full throttle pretty well the whole time there. That's pretty amazing. Braking point there. And so again, like this corner here, you can't stay full throttle. You will just drive right off track. It's very interesting how it works there. Now, this is looking lonely, but it won't look lonely for very long. You'll be very surprised if you're familiar with this type of racing. You've never seen this at only the first Mulsanne chicane of the second lap. So it is quite shocking, but remember, I had a huge amount of traffic. Look at that. Perpetual point already here. So this is where my choice of the 412 makes a difference because it has better top speed. So that F14T, he's got better acceleration, but he's going to peak out. And so right now I'm reaching his peak and I start gaining. And then bots always corner worse than we do. So in case I didn't say it, the F14Ts are now faster than a fully upgraded F14T. I don't know how much they boosted. I'd say it's at least 5%, maybe even 10. I think that's a bit much. I feel like it's 5%, both in acceleration and in top speed, but they're bots, and so they drive like bots, which is not very good. Ooh, that was another good pass. I'm proud of that, and I say that, it might sound funny. You would not believe how hard it is to handle this car in sharp corners, and if you know, well, then you know. But these are the cars that bring out the skill of the driver. So it's very simple. You brake early, steer early, gas early, and that's how you're going to get power. Oh, nuts, I'm on the brakes too late. So, nuts, into the sand. Okay, got to do better this time around. And, So I had the wrong race line when I got back to the gas. I pointed too much to the right. I should have been a little more pointed left. You almost have to be straight when you're getting back to the throttle, like very, very little turning, because these cars have ridiculous acceleration. So watch, I got to be careful so I don't wash over like that. Oh boy. But 19 seconds, 18 seconds, okay. I'm going to be okay. This is going to be razor close, okay? I had two bigger mistakes, one very minor mistake, and watch this. Woo! I got there, not by much. Oh, I'm going to be very careful here. This thing's brutal in the gravel. It's hard to handle. Okay, so this is going to get quite different at this point because my competitors are all a lot more fast. They're quite a lot faster. So I can still overtake them because I had a nice head of steam. And there you go. There's the nice train of bots again. Now I got to be very careful here because he's going to tap the brakes. Yeah, and I've got to do a little bit of lift there as well. So this is where the speed of the 412 T2 helps. So watch, they're not pulling away from me very much. Right here, they're starting to cap. I keep going at my speed. And that's the difference. So watch what happens as I get to the first chicane. You'll notice that I'm able to do quite well here, although I got to be careful of the traffic. Oh! Didn't want to plow into that guy. Oh, so now you're going to see his acceleration. He's going to pull away from me, but not by very much. Not if we were in equal cars. It would be worse if we were in equal cars, believe it or not. So here we're at the second Mulsanne chicane. I should get at least one here. Let's see if I can reel one in. Oh, let's get two. Nice. Oh, that was beautiful. I'm really proud of myself because that is the hardest part of this track for me. For so long, it took me years to get comfortable at the second chicane. It's quite different from the first one in this game. The off-track areas are quite different. Okay, let's see if I can do this one good. Oh! I hate it when I do that, especially when there's a huge run. You lose so much. The bots just disappear. So, that time's really low. I'm going to have to do some desperate maneuvers here to keep this going. Okay, so that means I really need to be careful here. I'm going to get on the brakes a little bit earlier because I cannot afford to lose it here. Okay, that's good. You see that? I was pointed in the right direction. I'm going to take a cut. I got to be very careful. This thing's squirrely off track, as you can see. Still not enough time, but there's a surprise coming up. You're going to find this very surprising. I have never seen this in any other cars, in any other endurance race at this track, or any other cup race. So it's not here. Coming up pretty soon here. Oh, you see there I had to lift a second time. I'm really trying to take as much as I can. Check it out. The boosted F14Ts crash there. Every single lap after their perpetual point, they crash there. So the bot programming cannot handle the boosted specs, and they just make a mistake. So there I took it a little bit cleaner. Let's warp ahead a while here. We've warped ahead quite far. Let's see how they equalize. Watch, I've got awesome drive out of this corner. I'm starting to gain, and he's pulling away, but watch. See, he's got better acceleration and brakes. I've got better top speed and grip. So he really doesn't get very far away. And I do two awesome overtakes here. This is beautiful. Just watch this. Knowing my line, beautiful. And take a look at this hitbox. Look at that. It does not count the wheels. If this was a Formula One car, I could not do that. All right, now check this out. This gets kind of interesting. More mistakes from the boosted drivers. Like, there's no reason for that. I wasn't expecting it, so I hit him. I want to check for wing damage, because if I got wing damage, I've got to alter my racing. No, that looks great. Okay, we're going to warp ahead a little bit more here to the same infamous corner. This is hilarious. Like, I don't even know, like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many bots there are. I can pause it and count, but you got to slow down so you don't get caught up in the crazy action. Okay, we're going to fast forward to where I end this. I was going to end right at 100, but I kind of got playing around too much. There's always time for some stunting. Now, you can do interesting stunting in this car. So let's get a nice donut going here. And I'm going to warp ahead a little bit in the middle of the donut. Now, check this out. You see guys doing this sometimes in races. So I'm going to go in reverse, spin it around again, go in drive, spin it around again. You can just keep doing that. Anyway, let's get to the earnings to see if they're any good. 19 minutes, 52 seconds. The earnings are horrible. Check out the Melbourne race. It pays amazingly well. Second best paying race in the entire game. Thank you for joining me today.